The date is September the 2nd, 2022. September the 3rd, 2022. And we're doing an oral history interview with Lola Thompson on the Thompson farm in Grimesland, North Carolina. Lola, could you tell me like your full name, like your middle name, and if you want to tell your maiden name?
Okay. My name is Dolores Lola Barrett Thompson. People call me Lola. That's my nickname. And then I got more professional with it and said Lola. Okay.
Okay. And how old are you?
How old am I?
You don't have to get that if you don't want to.
I'm just kidding. I'm 72 years old. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me about where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school?
Yes. I was born in Greenville, North Carolina. And I went to school at my last class that I graduated with was J.H. Rose High, but I went to C.M. Epps High School, and we had forced integration during the time when I went to school. So I ended up graduating. They forced us to leave our school in my senior year to go over to Rose and graduate with them. Okay, so 1970 is the year that I graduated from high school.
Did they do it during the school year?
In August, the beginning.
Okay.
The beginning,
okay.
kind of. They had a pilot program before. Yeah, it was a pilot program at first, and so they had some choice, freedom of choice for some kids to go over and try it out, and then they forced all of us, this senior class up to the freshman class, I believe it was, but we had to go. On down, all the way down to the 8th grade. That was high school was high school, but it had 8th graders in it too. So
did you go to ECU? I know you worked at ECU, so you can talk about that too. And then did anybody in your family go to ECU?
Okay. So in transitioning from Epps High to Rose High, because of all the trauma that we went through back in that day, it was really hard. It was really a war going on. We didn't want to go there, and our sisters and brothers didn't want us over there across town, because before Rose High School, a lot of us did not intermingle. We didn't play together. We didn't work together. We didn't go to school together. And so it was really, the first day of school for me was to hear somebody say, "Nigger, go home," and they had shotguns. So when we got to school, we just kind of got into a place that we were not familiar with. Our teachers were very loving and warm where we came from, very embracing. Our teachers knew our parents. They came to eat at our tables, and we got to Rose and we didn't know these people, and so the culture it was a culture shock for us, and so we had a very hard time. So what happened, I was an honest student, doing pretty good in high school, throughout school, and was slated to go to college, but because of all of what I endured, I just was not ready to face that. Okay, so I stayed back away from school, decided to stay home for a year, get myself together, and kind of take a breath. So later on in life, I decided, after I was getting older and older, everybody told me, you got a lot of potential. If only you had a degree, you could get this type of job and that. So I took classes at Pitt and different things, but I decided to finally, I think I was about 55 years old, to go ahead and make that happen for me, to go back to school. And so I started taking classes, and I ended up graduating. I went to Shaw in East Carolina for undergrad, and I ended up wanting to graduate from the HBC. I just wanted to do that. And so I did a lot of my core courses with ECU, and then kind of got to other classes. And then I got a job at ECU, and so of course they pay for some of the classes, so I took some classes there. And it was only when I went to school with ECU that I was writing an essay that I realized after about 20 or 30 years that I still had a lot of hurt inside of me that had happened from the transition from Epps to Rose High. And so I had to be healed from that. I had to forgive, and I had to let go, and I learned to love people and just purpose that I was going to be a woman with purpose regardless of what other people saw with me. And I decided too that I wanted to help other girls build their self-esteem, and so that's what I did. I went back to school, and then I got involved with some programs that I started with women and young girls to shape their lives, and women with purpose.
What did you study? Like, what's your
Um,
degree?
my degree was in business, and but I actually communications was my heart. But I actually went towards business, and I got a master's in adult education with MCU, okay, and a certification in community college instruction. But by the time I graduated with my master's, then it was time for me to retire before I retired. So I really haven't done anything with my master's other than do projects like this.
When I've worked in a few other communities that have, they had that happen, like they had the black high school and then they shut it down and they made the students transfer. And one of the things that I've heard the most is that the school was a community center, that it wasn't just like a high school, it was where everybody in the community was involved. Do you feel like that about Epps? Do you
Yes.
feel like it was?
Definitely. That's what we were. The teachers lived in the community. We had doctors in the community, stores, barbershops, we had businesses, dentist office. All of those things were surrounding us. And like I said, they knew us, we knew them, our parents, and they were good friends, So if we did anything, they tell our parents before we get home, So, yeah. And then all of my siblings, I came from a family of 10 siblings, and my mom and my dad. So we had a great big family. So I had to do well because my sisters and brothers did well, and all the teachers knew that. So when you go in the classroom, Barrett had your sister. She all A's. I know you're gonna do that. So they would expect me to do the same thing. So we did. Yeah. And they helped. My siblings helped me do my homework, and my mom had to work 2 and 3 jobs. Yeah.
What role do you feel like either your Barrett family or the Thompson family has played in the community?
Both families have been very instrumental. Spiritually, my mother and my father, they taught me values, and so those values went out throughout the community because, our homes were community centers. We had a big family, so everybody met at my mom, my dad's house, and we ate together. And so spiritual values is what my mom, I would say, the legacy that she left my dad for us. Here on the Thompson farm, I have learned about inheritance, of the value of holding on and leaving a legacy of the farm and the land and the toil, and, learning what it really means to own something. My mom and dad were mediocre. I didn't know we were we were really poor, but not really poor, but because they gave us value. And so when we stepped out, we didn't think that we were poor. We acted rich because of believing in God, believing everything was possible. You know what I mean? So we didn't see ourselves in deficit at that time. It's only until I look back later and realize all the things we didn't have, but we had so much that we didn't realize what we didn't have, So because I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with 12 people, you know what I mean? But we felt like we lived in a big place. It was an apartment, but my mother was very neat, very clean, she kept everybody else's house clean. She worked for these white couples and go in and fix their children's stuff. Couldn't be with us and had to get off that job and go to the factory, do work. She worked 3 jobs, But on the Thompson side of things, seeing them coming to a place, it was my husband and I, we've been married probably 20 or 30 years before I really realized what, that he actually owned, they own land. Because I had uncles and stuff that I worked in tobacco with, but I didn't know anything about owning. I married him just out of love from the surface, and out of faith. And then after we got to really know each other, after we had 3 kids and they gone off to college, we sit down and we talk. And then I look at, wow, that actually this is really something that he has been given a baton that he's passed from his father to take care of the farm. You know what I mean? And he took that really serious. He was going to college, and then his mom died, and so he decided. We went away to D.C. for a little while, but realized we needed to come back home and help the family because his dad worked his farm and his uncles, and then they got sick and older, and they needed to give it up. Kind of at the age where we are, 70, 75, they were getting tired, and So my husband took that road, and he takes it very seriously. Working, you know, full time at the fire department, 24-hour shifts, sometimes 48 hours. But would get off work and come and tend the farm, work on this with very little equipment at that time too.
So that's what I was curious about when you all moved to the farm, because I know your son had said that.
In 1980, I believe.
Okay.
Now, that's when we actually built a house, which our house is on 33. Okay. But we actually lived in Greenville for about 7 to 7 years, maybe, that he would come back and forth down here to help. He would work. We just kind of rented the place. And then after a while, his father let him know that, hey, you can have a house. We can get you a plot of land and you can build a house. And so, we realized that it would be better for him to be down this way because we were in Greenville, and to move down this way and help his dad. So that's what we did. We started out with a, little plot of land, and then he was able to work. And he worked for about 10 years with no pay, no nothing, and he still didn't get paid. But, he worked hard with his dad, and his dad mentored him, and he didn't let him off the hook. He made it tough for him, let him know all the things that he had to endure, and so, my husband walked it out. He learned humility, he understood the role of leadership and everything, so, yeah. So he trained him well. Little did we know that his dad knew his time was coming for him to, pass that baton on and go on out. He was one of the last brothers, because they came from a large family, sisters and brothers. Okay. And he probably can tell his story better than me.
Was he primarily the one who took over the farm, or?
Yeah, from his dad's side.
Okay.
There is another cousin, and I won't call his name, but he works another city. They kind of, if you know anything about air property and different splitting up land. So it's different sides of it. Some of it inherited directly, and then some is air property. So there's another cousin, male cousin, and then my son, the younger one, is still here with us. So he helps us out a whole lot.
Okay.
And he helps his dad, but primarily my husband is the one that does all of it.
And then you have 2 sons, is that right?
We have 3.
3 sons. Okay.
Sons, yeah.
Okay.
One is in Virginia Beach. He's supposed to be here, but I'm not sure he's going to make it.
You kind of answered this, but there's kind of other parts to it. So can you tell me about you or your family's involvement in farming? So I guess the Thompson family, what do you all farm or have farmed? And do you consider it like a big farm, a small farm?
I would say small compared to the big farmers that we have, but for us as African Americans, I would say it's a pretty nice size farm. I would say it's probably over 100 some acres that we do, so that's big when you got one person trying to take care of that, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So we farm soybeans right now, and we have done animals like pigs and cows, and we do vegetables. We have done tobacco, but tobacco, when they go ahead and buy out and all that different thing.
It's so regulated now.
Yeah, so we are not doing that. We're looking to do some other things. What our concept is to have healthy people, healthy eating, exercise. My sons, they work with young people, teaching them work ethics, citizenship, self-esteem, and then also how to take farm living and make entrepreneurship out of it, so you don't just have to plow and do that piece. We try to incorporate different things. So he's a physical performance expert. I have 3 sons play basketball, okay? And they play with universities and got scholarships. And so they try to bring that knowledge back home. And Bobby Jr., the youngest one, he's determined to stay in the area to make a difference, And that's what I wanted to do, too. I didn't want to have to leave home and go way up north somewhere. I wanted to come back.
How do you find the people to come in? Are you just like look for people in the community that are interested in farming, and you bring them in to mentor them, or?
No, Well, what we did, we have different groups. Okay, we have one group we call stars. Students taking advantage of their awards and self-worth. And what I did was, at that point, I was working at ECU, but we had students that parents and teachers knew, and we put these forms in the school system, let them know we had a 6-week leadership academy. That's what we were doing, and people could actually apply. It was free. We didn't have any funding or anything. It was just something that I wanted to do. Students taking advantage of the rewards of self-worth. Our concept was beauty, believe, embrace, accept, understand there is a treasure in you. So that's what we would instill in the students. Now, one program we actually did it physically on ECU campus. We met on the campus. The teachers and the students would get involved, and they would volunteer, and they would come out, and we introduced the students to college life, okay? So that we were having a lot of dropouts and stuff like that, so to teach people how to stay in school. And so ECU and the faculty, I worked in service learning department, so it was a volunteer program that I created outside of ECU, but they got involved.
And so you're, even though I know it was outside of ECU, but and
So
you're still doing that
we
now.
follow girls, and then there are other girls that are referred to us. Like, okay, we have a basketball team. My son, like I said, we train girls, and so part business, part volunteer is nonprofit. So he does that as a part of the job, but we also have the mentoring programs that we do the same thing. Okay, we bring them down on the phone, we let them come out and work out, and then we teach them work ethics, and we help train them like work skills. My husband might let them see how it is to work on the farm, teach them about doing things, you know. We have a building project that we're working with a guy right now, another business company. They have young people that they're mentoring, so we take them on our wings and bring them down on the farm. If we got anything we need to show them how to do, we train them. So we incorporate what we do with other companies, other people, churches, different things. Wherever opportunity comes, we are there. Now, we are not a 501c3. We just don't make any money. We just do it. It's kind of like a ministry outreach or something for us. We need to learn how to do that but that's just something that my heart is towards. And so while I was working with the Stars Leadership Academy, the women, the mothers of these kids needed help. So we thought, why not work and train the parents at the same time? So do some teaching and training academies for them too. So we did. So we started this group, and this lady is here today, Jan. She's an author of a book, but she's one of our Women with Purpose. And out of that grew about 150 women from that program. Okay, but it's, you know, it's not an organization per se. You know, it's just a group, a ministry outreach. It ever evolves.
So you guys, so the question is, but I kind of already know this. So do you own or rent the farm, or do you lease it out? And so could you talk a little bit about that?
We own
Right.
this farm.
And then you all farm it yourselves.
Yes.
Like,
We farm it. And my husband is like a one-man farm. The operator. He's the owner operator of this. Yes.
do you feel like it's the decision to be like a farmer, to live do you feel like it's a lifestyle choice more than a job?
Yeah, it's both. You know what? I think about green acres when I think about us. I'm like, Eva, darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue. When we first got married, you know, we were living in D.C. We went to D.C. to live, and then when he decided to come home, because I'm from Greenville, but I lived in Greenville. Greenville was like the city. Brownson was the country. But when I came down here, so much peace, you know, and so much room. You know, I think about the growth and having our children to be able to live and come outside and breathe and not be infected with all of the gangs and all that stuff. Of course, we had the Boys and Girls Club when they came up, so that was a great thing that happened for them. But being here is an honor. It's a business, you know, and we have made a lot of investments as farmers. Me and my husband, we had to work a job to make it work for us. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like we made a lot of money on it. We just trying to hold on to it right now. And there's not a lot of help. And tobacco and soybeans and all that stuff really unless you're one of those tremendous large farmers, you really gotta really struggle. And if you can see the picture that we have of him, matters of the heart, you can see the wear and tear. We had no idea it took on us, just this kind of job he had before with the fire department, and then with carrying the burden of trying to hold on to something, because he really, this is instilled in him the dream that his father and his grandmother and his great grandparents had, the fight that they had to get to get where they are. You know what I mean? Coming out of slavery, coming out of all that, to hold on to what they had. You know. So, and I'm with him because I walked with him when I made that decision. With him, I'm committed, and we're celebrating over 50 years in marriage. You know. So, but it, you know, it's because we made a decision. Yeah.
I think your son was saying that the great grandmother bought the land originally. Is that right?
Yes. Well, we're trying to find out exactly how all of we do have all that we have deeds, we have different things that we have done research. My husband can talk better about that piece, but yeah, it did come out of that after slavery, you know. But she did actually buy some piece of her husband, you know. So I don't know all. We're still doing some research trying to get to the bottom of where did. How did they do that?
Was she enslaved, or was
she was? She was. When I say that, there's so many grandmothers. You know,
right.
You know, so all of that is right down on the chart, and I can't tell it verbatim, but my husband probably can. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they were coming out of slavery. Just I think this one right here was. Delia and Levin, I think they were just the ones that started progressing. But prior to that, the fourth parent before them, yeah.
Okay. So the next, which again I kind of know this, is like, can you tell me where you live now and if you've stayed in the community? And you guys live right around the corner, right?
Well, right on the highway, NC 33. Yes.
And that's on Avon Road?
Right on NC 33.
Oh, NC 33, right.
Yeah, so you turn off of that main highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are right here in the community. This is part of where this is part of where we live, right here too, but we have a house on the road. You know, this is what we call the farm.
Okay.
So, but we live here, yes.
So are there any other stories you would like to share about your childhood, or about working on the farm, with your husband or with your kids, or anything else you want to share?
My job is not so much putting my hands to getting out there with a tractor. My job and role has been for my husband is to help him catch the vision and listen to the vision and be able to help guide him, walk with him, support him, encourage him, you know, pray for him, and financially support and believe in what they believe in. You see what I'm saying? Because even though I had my own career, we own a beauty salon too, and for 20 years, and I just retired from that. So I was working at ECU full time, also own a beauty salon, but you know, what we did was we had people that rented booths and stuff, so I had the flexibility to come in and out, you know. So entrepreneurship, visionary, and support. But what we do, I listen to his voice, hear him, and he'll say, you know, there's something that I want to do. My dad told me to do this, and I need to do this. And once he tells me, I keep track of. I write things down on paper, whatever he tells me and talk about, and then I'll prophetically speak into his life, you know. And a scripture may come or something that the Lord would have me to encourage him and say to him, you can do this. You know, he would say, how can we do it? We don't have the money. And, you know what I'm saying, with God, everything is possible. You can do this. We can make it happen. Let's put a list. So we make a list of things that, you know, we want to see happen and walk it out day by day. And in the midst of shortcomings and trials and disappointments, we still gotta have hope. And so that's what it is. We have hope and faith. Our faith in God is really what has kept us to carry on all of this. Because when you look at it, when you look at one person trying to keep up as soon as you cut, you know what it's like cutting one grass, a yard, and then before you get it finished, it's growing back up. Well, you got all this, you got to keep up with, and you're trying to do it, and you're tired, you're getting older, so then you got to think about what's going to happen for the future.
So currently, only 4.6% of farmers in the U.S. are black. Why do you think that it is? And it's a diminishing number. It's decreasing every year. Why do you think it's happening?
What I see happening right now before us is the big farmers are trying to come in and buy the little farmers out. Especially African Americans, we cannot afford the farming according to the way it is now. The government really doesn't have a lot of support to pay and give to the farmers. The much work and hard work and labor that's put into this to feed America, to take care of people here, it's just not the type. I mean, it's a very important job and a very important business, but the support from the government or the systems are not in place for us. And instead, it's harder for us to get loans. It's harder. They make our applications more harder. I mean, even if you got good credit, and then by the time you go through the processes of it, it's so tight and so rigid, you really can't do anything with it. If you need a piece of equipment, you got to tell them exactly how much it costs, where you're going to get it from. You can't get it because you can't buy the equipment until you get the money. You know what I mean? By the time you go back and try to get it, then it's gone. So the processes are crazy. And then the other thing is the equipment costs so much money to run a farm now, the other piece is the breakdown and the wear and tear of the equipment itself, trying to find people to maintain the equipment and fix it. Oh, and then if you're African American, sometimes if the bigger farmers, they got the prestige and they got the influence, so they are the first ones on the list. If anybody's gonna wait, it'll be him to wait 40 days, 2 months before somebody can come out and look at his tractor. And so next time of season, you gotta have certain things in the ground by a certain time. And if you can't get your equipment running, you can't put it in the ground. So therefore, you are, you're kind of behind, and your crops are gonna suffer from that. So it's that kind of stress, and so now he has to learn now. How do I learn how to fix tractors and combines and different things? You know what I'm saying? So,
is there anything else you'd like to add, or anything we didn't cover? I'm curious how your interest in family history got started, because you've done a lot of research, it looks like, and have really delved into it.
Because I love people, and I always ask questions why. I'm trying to understand.
He says it's just being nosy. That's what he tells me when I do. Not that you're nosy, but yeah, I like to know. I ask why too.
I'm nosy, and like I said, I like to know why, but I like to make a difference. So I'm trying to find reasons why we think and why people do things that they do, and why would I do? What can I leave? I'm always thinking about for us as a family. He is too. What can we do to make a difference and make things better, make life better, make the world better, And so what's been placed in our hand? And that's the one thing that he always says, I'm stretching out the rod that's in my hand and go forward, So that's the question. What is it that God has given us that we can take and turn and make better for anybody? Our children, our relatives, our friends, our family, And that's why we want to tell our story so that we can leave a record for somebody, else to understand, and to follow and make a difference. That's all. That we can just encourage them.